What's going on, everybody? Thank you guys so much for watching the show. Wanted to talk to you about our friends over at Prize Picks, the best place to win cash while watching sports. This app is really easy to use. You just pick more or less on a few player stats, and you could win up to 1,000 times your cash on a single lineup. Best of all, Prize Picks will give you $50 when you play your first $5 lineup. Win or lose, you'll get $50 for playing. Use the promo code PFF and download the app now. Tyleik Williams, a defensive tackle from Ohio State, going to the Detroit Lions. Let me tell you why I nailed this before we break down why I think this is a good pick for them. Last year, the Detroit Lions' first 4 picks were all top 30 visits. All of them. Terrion Arnold, Ennis Rakestraw Jr., Giovanni Manu, Sione Ivaki. The year before, Brian Branch, Sam Laporta, top 30 visits. This year, guess what? This guy was about the only defensive lineman that they had for a reported top 30 visit that would have been within this range.
Interesting. So you wrote this in the mock draft.
It's called doing your research, folks.
Wow.
Tyleik Williams, one of the best run defenders that we have in the class. He keeps that interior defensive line young. They have DJ Reader, they have Aleem McNeil, but they want to stay stout up front. They want to make sure they have the bodies. They want to make sure that they have the strength. And even though this guy is not going to be, I don't think, a prolific pass rusher for you, this is a spot where I think he'll be fantastic in that rotation. What did you guys think of Tyleik Williams this year?
I think exactly what you said. One of the most consistent run defenders we've seen at Ohio State over the last 4 years, and certainly he gives you that. And you think about, too, Aleem McNeil coming off a season-ending injury. Interior depth was something I expected them to attack here. I did think it would be someone more of a pass rusher like TJ Sanders, like Omar Norman-Lott, but I get the idea. Reader's a little bit older. McNeil's off the injury. They still want to be able to stop the run, and I think it speaks to a deep edge class also that they could get a player that they like later in the draft, right? When you think about the next wave of edge rushers, I'm checking Detroit's picks here real quick, but pick number 60. Let's just say, I don't know, Princely Umanmielen was there at 60, and then they wanted to go off the edge and get a pass rusher, former Gator great, or later on, if it's a David Walker or somebody to add into that rotation. I just feel like that I wonder if that just tells me they want to safeguard against any sort of drop-off from Aleem McNeil coming off the knee injury.
But man, you are rolling the dice here to some extent. Aiden Hutchinson coming off of that season-ending injury, and you never know how he's going to come out of that. You hope he's fine. He was having one of the most dominant seasons we've ever seen in the history of the NFL when he got hurt. But what does this say about Aleem McNeil and DJ Reader? I think we're just heard a shout from the mountaintop that it wasn't just the edge that we're hurting on here, that we've got big names and big salaries inside, and we're not feeling good about it. That is almost like the story of the night for me with out of Detroit.
Well, DJ Reader's 30, and I'm looking up his contract right now. He's in the last year of his contract. So he'll be 31 this season. Actually, he's 30 right now. He'll be 31 this season going into the last year of his contract. So they are definitely getting ahead of, I think, him hitting free agency next year and potentially not bringing him back there.
Well, they have stock exchange legend Roy Lopez who just signed too.
They do, of course. Of course. Yes, thank you for the respect.
Wow, of course.
But respect Roy Lopez.
I gotta get the bump on there.
I'm a little lower on Tyleik Williams because he's just not a great pass rusher right now, but he is a great run defending nose tackle. But I just look at this board with the edge defenders available, like Mike Green and Donovan Ezeraku and Nick Scorton, and I would have taken one of those 3 players. I think Tyleik Williams here is a little reach for the
and there's so many run stoppers in this class, especially at this position, that you can get one in round 3 or even round 4 and feel good about it, guys.
Well, and look at your division around you. I mean, Green Bay just took an over-the-top kind of pass receiver, right? And you've got Minnesota now that is just completely loaded up on their offensive line. Maybe that does make sense. Maybe they're going, man, we got to stop the Minnesota from running the ball down. But I've just got to say, I think this is a bigger story for me in that 2 premier interior players basically said we've got to replace at least one or begin to think about how to replace those.
And there's been moves made by a couple of teams this offseason. Poona Ford signing with the Rams, now this Tyleik Williams move with the Lions. They're thinking about beating the Eagles head-to-head. That's really what I think it is they go, if we can't stop the run and we have to play Philadelphia, none of it matters anyway. They're just going to run us over with their O-line and Saquon. I think these contending teams, it might be in their head a little bit. We have to plan ahead when now you shouldn't just assume you're going to make the postseason because it's 1 week at a time and it's the NFL. You never know what's going to happen. But I really do think that's in the heads of some of these other NFC teams. If we don't stop the run, Saquon's going to run us right over, just like he did with everybody last year.
This is all about the tush-push here.
That's all it is. You put
Yeah,
Tyleik Williams right over the center. That's your job, man. We'll keep you fresh, stop the sneak, and we'll figure it out later.
Wow.